A mysterious death of a pregnant woman and her baby. What mystical force dragged the poor souls to the other world? And what does the Ghost Rider have to do with it? Find out right now. One of the most emotional investigations of the season. You are watching Psychic Investigations, a project of exclusively true and astonishing stories. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate tangled criminal cases and baffling mystical anomalies. This woman's name is Inna. She lives in a small Ukrainian village. She works as a paramedic. Inna dedicated her entire life to raising her daughter, Nastya.
Nastya's father, he died. He developed a drinking problem in his final years.
Nastya's father drank himself to death, so her mother raised her alone. When Nastya grew up, she became a true beauty. After graduating from school, she moved to the city, became a hairdresser, and worked in a beauty salon. She eventually met a decent young man named Andrei. After they got married, she became pregnant.
Nastya was on cloud 9 when she was pregnant. She had a great husband, and her pregnancy was going well.
It seemed like Nastya had everything a woman could dream of. A loving husband, a home filled with happiness, and soon, her first child.
They would go to stores to look at cribs. They were getting ready, and they were even choosing names together. They were preparing the bedroom. They wanted to renovate their apartment before the baby was born.
Nastya didn't quit her job and worked at the beauty salon until the last months of her pregnancy.
Everyone told her to go on maternity leave, but she insisted on working.
I always told her, Nastya, sit down. But no, she would be on the go all the time and wouldn't rest a minute.
Nastya's friend Natalia works as a cosmetologist at the same beauty salon. She used to study to become a gynecologist, so she often consulted the expectant mother about the pregnancy.
She always said she felt all right and never complained about anything.
But a month before the due date, Nastya suddenly fell unwell. It was a Thursday, and she had just arrived at work.
I asked, Nastya, are you okay? She said she felt pain in her abdomen. I told her it shouldn't hurt like that. I said, let's call a doctor. But she insisted she had just seen a doctor, who assured her everything was fine.
However, Nastya later went back to the hospital. And no sooner had she made it through the door of the hospital than she fainted.
It was so shocking. She went to work in the morning, but was in the hospital by lunchtime.
They performed an emergency C-section, but unfortunately, the baby had already died.
The baby died due to Nastya's dangerously high blood pressure, which stopped the child's heart.
On her way to the hospital, Nastya called her husband and complained about the pain. Andrei was on a business trip not far from the city. He dropped everything and rushed home. He still can't talk about that awful day. After all, he lost his dearest people in the world, his beloved wife and their long-awaited son.
He died, and Nastya, she had this tube for artificial respiration in her mouth, and she couldn't speak. She pointed to her stomach with her hand and mumbled, "Where?" And I said, "The doctors are taking care of him. Everything will be all right."
Inna never found the courage to tell her daughter her son had died.
He was buried while she was still in the hospital.
3 days after the delivery, Nastya fell into a coma. Her critical condition and the baby's death were explained by a rare syndrome called HELLP, a late-onset toxemia. Relatives still can't understand why this happened. After all, the pregnancy was going without any issues.
We were all badly shocked.
I read online that it's an extremely rare condition that happens once per 100,000 pregnancies.
The syndrome suddenly arises during the last months of pregnancy, mainly in women giving birth for the first time. It involves increased blood pressure and impaired blood circulation in the placenta. As a result, the baby doesn't receive nutrients and oxygen and passes away. Even specialists who have studied this disease for many years can't yet determine the cause of its occurrence.
We can even hear the fetus's heartbeat, and there's movement. But unfortunately, within 2 or 3 days, such an outcome can occur for the fetus.
2 or 3 days, but not a couple of hours. Besides, Nastya underwent regular checkups and was even seen by a doctor on the day of the tragedy.
Andrei was desperately hoping that the doctors would save his wife.
However, Nastya's vital organs began to fail one by one, and the doctors couldn't save her. Eventually, the young woman passed away.
Seeing her clothes breaks my heart. I haven't washed anything after that. They still smell like Nastya's perfume.
Nastya's death was like a ton of bricks falling on all of us.
She passed away on the 9th day after the baby. It's unimaginable.
Andrei cried, saying, "I can't believe they're both gone." When you expect that your wife gives birth to a baby, but instead you end up with 2 coffins. This is horrendous.
He lost all the meaning in life.
Nastya's family has no doubt that it wasn't a mere accident,
It's impossible that so much grief befalls a single family.
especially since the night before Nastya was admitted to the hospital, her mother had a terrifying dream.
I was walking in a dense forest, carrying a baby in my arms. And then I heard the snapping of branches and pine needles. I heard a wolf's voice, growling, and the thumping of paws. Someone was being torn apart. Suddenly, a black cloud descended upon me, blocking out the sun. It became dark. That's when I thought something might happen to Nastya.
And the next day, Ina's daughter ended up in the hospital.
We need to know the cause. Why did she and the baby pass away?
Angelina is Nastya's elder sister. She is married and has a daughter, Sofia. She also had problems when giving birth, but she still can't wrap her head around what happened to Nastya. Psychics Olena Kurilova and Sofia Litvinova step in to investigate the enigmatic sudden death of the young mother and her baby.
When I looked at the photo, I had a vision of a woman so gaunt that she looked like a skeleton. However, it wasn't Nastya. She was holding a dead infant. The baby was torn to pieces, as if torn apart by a pack of dogs. The woman tried to say something to me, but she didn't have the strength to utter a word.
I asked the higher powers why this happened. Why did the young woman die? And they showed me a severed head, a bloody human head on a platter. And a girl of around 12 was running around it. She had a small mirror in her hands, and she was making sunlight reflections with it. But what does this mean?
I had a dream. In it, I woke up to the roar of a motorcycle engine and saw a motorcyclist. He told me, "My death is a payback. You must hurry." I feel like the events are unfolding further. There might be more deaths to come, one after another.
The psychics arrive at the home where the happy Nastya and Andrei awaited the birth of their first child not so long ago.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Ina.
Are you Andrei?
Yes, the husband.
I see the letter K. Did anyone whose name starts with a K die?
The baby, his name was Kirilo.
The baby was still in his mother's womb, but the parents already knew their boy's name would be Kirilo.
I feel that the name somehow influenced the boy's fate. And when I saw the letter K, it doubled. There must be another dead child in their family with that name.
Grandma had twins, Lev and Kirilo. My grandmother.
As it turned out, the grandmother's twins also died during the delivery.
Everyone knows that naming children after the deceased is not recommended, because the child might repeat the deceased person's fate. The name Kirilo indeed influenced the baby's fate, but it doesn't explain the mother's death. You met when she was still very young. She was your first, true, and only love.
I fell in love with her at the first glance.
Those huge brown eyes.
Her eyes were mesmerizing. There was something extraordinary and magical about them.
They started dating when she was still in school. He was her first love, and she married him in the end.
The couple got married when Nastya turned 19. Andrii's parents bought the young couple an apartment in the city as a wedding present. The young man personally renovated the place and brought his young wife to their new home.
She would call me and say, "Mom, Andrii bought me this or that." Rings, necklaces, earrings, beautiful things like that.
Andrii was building his career and tried to provide his beautiful wife with everything she needed.
She did her best to keep herself in shape and was merciless to herself. A tighter belt and not eating too much. And she did all this so everyone would envy you and admire your beautiful wife. She loved you so much. Tell me, why do I sense that her body was poisoned by some strong substance? There's poison in her body.
The cause of Nastya's death was intoxication, which, in simple terms, is poisoning. Perhaps this is what the psychic is referring to.
They said an infection started when the fetus died.
It takes a few days of a baby decomposing in the womb for toxic substances to appear and start poisoning the mother. But Nastya had seen a doctor that morning.
If the doctors made a mistake, it will be on their conscience. What do you see?
She's little. Like I see her from afar.
Is it a woman?
A little girl. She shows me a stroller, a crib, and a house. Find the house. So, it's not an apartment building. Did you live in a house?
Yes. Our village is about a 20-minute drive from here.
I recognized her. She was the same little girl from my vision yesterday. She showed me the human head on a platter. Let's go there. That's where the answer lies, I think.
The psychics arrive at the family's old house inn after dark, but they continue working.
Can I come in?
Sure.
Something terrible happened here. The earth is soaked with the maternal grief of a woman who ate her own flesh. I see the dismembered body of a child. The woman ate her own child.
Dear God.
Do you know who I'm talking about? She knocks on every door asking for bread. And a man, your blood relative, throws her out. You weren't born yet.
She extends her thin arms.
She looks, but her baby is not breathing.
I have goosebumps all over my body.
There were indeed cases of cannibalism during the Holodomor of the 1930s in this village. The people who survived are no longer alive. However, our journalists did find a woman whose entire family, except for 4 children, perished in the famine.
Her mother had 11 children. 4 survived, all the rest died in the famine.
Katerina Radchenko wasn't born yet, but she still can't forget the story her mother told her about a village woman who, driven by hunger, ate her own baby.
In the evening, she lay with her baby, and in the morning they found her, but the baby was gone. She had eaten her.
She condemned herself for the rest of her days. May God forgive her. We didn't live in those times.
This is simply horrifying to think about what people, driven to madness by hunger, had to go through. But how is this story connected to Nastya and her baby's death?
The woman from my vision kept repeating, "It killed us." She was talking about the hunger. The hunger killed her and her baby. And Nastya's death is also somehow linked to starvation.
Nastya's blood was like water in her veins. Didn't she eat properly? Or what was it?
She dieted. She induced vomiting.
It's unimaginable. Did she starve herself when she was pregnant?
During the entire pregnancy, she would run up to me, show me her butt, and shout that it was too big and that she needed to do something about it.
Her greatest fear was to gain weight and lose her shape. She refused to eat.
But you didn't know about it.
I noticed she had lost weight. I even had a word with Andrei about it, but he said he liked her like that.
This is called anorexia.
Nastya's starvation added fuel to the fire. Her and her baby's death were part of some karmic program. By refusing to eat, she essentially deprived herself of the strength and resources to fight for her life.
In the case of anorexia, when a woman's body has already exhausted all its reserves, sooner or later, a tragic outcome is inevitable.
Can we get inside?
Of course.
The vision of the severed head on a platter wouldn't leave my mind. Whose head was that? And who was the little girl running around it with a mirror?
Olena, did you see it? Someone entered.
I didn't see.
God, Olena!
Sophia, where are you going?
What happened? Why did the psychic run out of the house like a bullet?
Olena, do you hear that? A motorcycle engine.
A motorcycle.
There he is.
Sophia, where are you going?
A moment. There on the motorcycle. Do you see him? A young man. I feel sick. He rode straight at me. He hit me with his motorcycle. It was the same motorcyclist who woke me up the day before the investigation. I woke up to the roar of a motorcycle. The spirit rushed past me. He shouted, "He died because of me. Nastya's child died because of me."
Does this mean it all happened because of my brother?
Did you have a brother?
Yes, I did. He crashed on his motorcycle.
As it turned out, Ina did have an elder brother, Ivan, who died at the age of 20. Ina was in high school at the time, but how could the dead young man be connected to Nastya and her baby's death?
I hear fighting and screaming. It's you and your brother.
He beat me
Why?
over a mirror. I had powder then. He asked me for the mirror from there. He needed it for his motorcycle.
But you refused.
I did. And he started punching me violently.
And he died a few hours after that fight.
Yes.
The little girl running around the severed head with a mirror in her hands was Ina herself. The mirror she used to make sunlight reflections was the same one her brother beat her for. And then I understood whose head was on the platter. Did it happen on a church holiday?
Beheading of St. John the Baptist.
Oh my goodness, may God have mercy.
It was the head of John the Baptist. What happened to Nastya and her baby is connected to the date of his beheading.
John the Baptist was executed thousands of years ago on the same day Ina's brother died. The legend has it that his head was cut off. People say that on this date, you should not use a knife and/or touch any circular objects that resemble a human head in shape. Fighting is also prohibited, especially hitting your own sister on the head because of a round mirror.
On this holiday, everything circular has a mystical significance, especially a mirror. Your brother did something unforgivable on this holy day. He beat his own sister to the point of drawing blood.
My nose was bruised and I had a black eye.
But how could this affect the death of Nastya and the unborn Kirilo?
Wait, Inna, tell me one thing. Did you curse him?
He beat me, and I cried, but did nothing. And then I looked at him, and he turned pale as clay. He said, "Go ahead, look, you're seeing me for the last time."
You experienced an internal offense. You know an unconscious curse. And now, there's a curse on the boys in your family. If it had been a girl, she would have been born.
The first boy.
You need to perform a karmic ritual for your family. Go to 7 churches and light candles in front of the icon of Virgin Mary.
A mysterious force causes a young boy's bones to break. Where did this deadly curse come from? Don't miss out. The psychics will expose a female killer. In this family photo, you can see a smiling and joyful Vova Bazuk with his mother, Nadia, and father, Mykola. Here, the boy is 4 years old, but half a year later, a terrifying event would turn their lives upside down.
He broke his leg in the summer, and after that, it all started. Very frequent fractures. He often breaks his arms, and his legs are constantly in a cast. It's so awful.
He was a healthy and active child until he turned 4.5.
The boy suffered 30 fractures in just a year, though he had been perfectly healthy before. He went to school, played with friends, and loved soccer.
Vova is a very cheerful person.
He loved riding his bike and running.
However, in the last 3 years, Vova has not attended school, and for the past year, he hasn't even been able to get out of his wheelchair.
Now I have to use this wheelchair all the time, but I'm used to it. Both my legs are completely in casts.
At 12, Vova has endured unthinkable pain and suffering. His bones crumble even when he simply stands up. They can't withstand his body weight.
He tries to stay strong, but you can see the sadness in his eyes.
The doctors say the boy's bones are brittle due to a severe collagen protein deficiency. His body suddenly stopped producing it. However, the cause remains a mystery. His mother has taken him to countless doctors across Ukraine.
The doctors don't fully understand what's happening to him. They can't provide a definitive diagnosis.
They suggested we consult a geneticist and professors.
The geneticists say Vova's condition resembles the so-called crystal disease. However, some aspects of the diagnosis don't add up.
Crystal disease is inherited from generation to generation. It cannot be acquired.
But there is no history of crystal disease in Vova's family, neither on his mother's nor his father's side. Additionally, Vova didn't start showing symptoms at birth, but only at the age of 5.
This disease can occur spontaneously. There must be some predisposing factors.
But what follows is even stranger. The parents notice that before each fracture, the boy sees a black shadow.
I saw something black in the dark. Just a black shadow, and I heard creaking sounds.
But nobody knows whose shadow it is or why it appears near the boy.
A long and dark period began. There must be a reason behind this.
My dream is to stand on my feet again and be able to run and play soccer like I used to.
Vova's parents suspect that the cause of his condition is mystical, and only psychics can uncover the truth.
Dear psychics, I would like to ask for your help. I understand you're not doctors, but maybe you can help us understand what's causing this.
Our project's experts, Yaroslava Fedorova, Anna Galliers, agreed to help Vova.
I saw a woman in black. I was sleeping and I suddenly woke up to an icy breath. I saw a female silhouette. I wanted to get a better look, but the room was dark. Something was shining on her neck.
It's a key.
What makes you think it's a key?
Because she visited me earlier today. She said nothing. She just stood there and left. But she had an old key on her neck.
That woman is definitely connected to our today's investigation.
A few hours later, the psychics arrive in the town where the boy lives. They find Vova and his mother out for a walk.
Hello. I really want you to help us.
Give me your hand, please, dear. You're a very brave boy.
Pick one card. Any one. It's the father card. It's reversed. What about the father? There's a cross on him.
Vasya and I are divorced.
And who is the man living with you now?
He's my second husband. He's like a real father to Vova.
Dad Mikola is better to me than my father.
When I first met Nadia, Vova started calling me Dad right away. It made me happy.
Nadia and her second husband have children together, and they're all healthy. The problem is only with the child from her first marriage. It seems we should look for answers in the first husband of Vasya.
At just 16, Nadia married Vasya, her friend's older brother.
He said, "Grab your passport and let's go to the council to register our marriage." Well, I was just 16. I didn't tell my mom anything. I just grabbed my passport and went.
It was a shock for me.
The young couple had a lavish wedding, and a year later, their first child, Vova, was born. However, their marriage was short-lived. The man left his wife and son.
He was unfaithful. He cheated on Nadia. They got divorced after that.
He rarely visits. He might not even show up on Vova's birthday.
With no history of genetic bone diseases in the family of the boy's biological father, the question arises, where did Vova's condition come from?
The card of retribution. Your child is paying the price. Pick the next card. A child whose life is upside down, and there's a woman who destroyed his life. He's paying for a lost child.
I see a boy looking like your son. They have the same blood flowing through their veins.
When I was about to marry my first husband, his second cousin met me and said, "Do you know he has a girlfriend? She's pregnant with his child and is in the hospital."
The news of her fiancé's infidelity caught Nadia off guard just before their wedding. However, despite the revelation, she didn't find the courage to call off the engagement and went ahead with the marriage.
On the day of your wedding, the abandoned woman shed bitter tears.
She gave birth to a boy on our wedding day. He looks like Vova.
Giving birth to the boy, she cursed her husband and his future family.
A curse sent by a pregnant woman has double the power, and it will definitely influence someone in the family.
Before the wedding, her friend came to me and said, "You'll see what happens."
We need to meet your husband's first girlfriend.
This is Zira, and Nadia, along with the psychics, is heading to her place. They leave Vova with his father, Mikola. Shortly after, they arrive at Ira's.
Ira, please come out for a moment.
Hello?
Vasa was my first husband.
And what do you want from me?
The woman who did everything to destroy is connected to Vasya. A knife in your back.
No, I wouldn't wish any harm. I have children myself.
Try to recall. Did you wish Nadia ill or curse her so her child would suffer like yours would without a father? This is very important. A child's life is at stake.
No, I didn't curse her, but I did feel upset.
Ira lied. I could feel that she sent curses towards Vasya and Nadia.
Eventually, Ira did confess.
I found out he had someone else when I was 4 months pregnant. I cursed him and envied Nadia that he married her. But now, I'm sorry for what happened to her.
Ira wished for harm, but not to the child. She just wanted Nadia and Vasya to break up, and her wish came true because the family fell apart so quickly. I hope you'll reconcile, and your children will communicate.
And the brothers met the very next day.
I'm so happy to have another brother. We'll keep in touch.
Joy. I'm crying with joy.
Ira wasn't responsible for what was happening to Nadia's son, but my guide still insisted we needed to find a woman.
The woman standing behind you, she shares the cross of your sick child. The person who stabbed you in the back is connected to Vasya, your husband. Who is she?
My sister.
Okay, and what's her connection to Vasya?
They had an affair.
A shocking revelation. It turns out Nadia's younger sister was her husband's mistress, and it was because of her that the couple divorced.
What kind of person do you have to be to steal a man from her own sister?
It caused me so much pain.
We need to see your sister.
Oksana, Nadia's 28-year-old sister, still lives under the same roof as her sister, mother, and grandmother. This is also where Nadia's current husband and their children reside.
Oksana, come here.
Hello?
How could you do this to your sister? You're the boy's godmother. I see that, and you swore before God to take care of him. But instead, you deprived him of his father.
After Nadia got married, her husband started coming on to me. I told Mom, but she didn't believe me.
And what was next?
Oksana confessed off camera that she lost her virginity to her sister's husband, Vasya, when she was only 14. He allegedly raped her. Yet, she continued to see him until Nadia eventually found it out.
I knew something was up, but Mom told me I was imagining things.
Finally, Vasya took Oksana with him to work in the Czech Republic, away from his wife and young son, and they started living together.
She came back from the Czech Republic and said, "You know, I'm pregnant by him."
The news of her sister's pregnancy by her husband devastated Nadia. She didn't want to live.
I didn't want this life. I took pills, but it didn't work.
Are you trying to say you wanted to end your life?
Yes. Because of this life.
Vasya nursed his wife back to health after her poisoning, but he never expected his mistress to attempt suicide as well.
She got very jealous and also took pills. She ended up in the intensive care, but they saved her.
This is horrifying. The sisters couldn't share a man, and both tried to take their own lives. Meanwhile, Vasya went back to the Czech Republic to escape the drama.
Do you understand that this could have affected your nephew? In every way.
I didn't know it could be like this.
This is just incomprehensible.
I didn't touch him. He came to me.
Couldn't you just say no?
Where are you going? Stay here. I understand that you're in pain.
Why are the cameras here?
I want to help my child walk again.
I want it too.
Repent, and half of this child's trouble will be gone. Do you understand?
Vova is like my own son since I raised him from a young age.
Something else didn't add up. Oksana destroyed her family when Vova was 2 years old, and his bone problems started a couple of years later. It seems there's another reason for this. This whole situation, this history, is preventing you from having your own family. Do you understand this?
She's just at a dead end.
After the story with her sister's husband, Oksana became withdrawn. She didn't create her own family and doesn't work anywhere.
Oksana has paid for her sin with loneliness. She has no husband and no children. Of course, she's doing the right thing by taking care of her nephew. But that's not enough. She needs to repent for her sins and make peace with her sister.
Despite all the suffering she's caused, Oksana has a good heart.
She's like a second mother to Vova. She's dedicated her life to him.
It was a mistake, and if you ask for forgiveness, you will be forgiven.
The woman with the key is calling me. I don't understand what she wants. It's as if we've missed something crucial.
Your child is paying for a child whose life has been turned upside down.
I don't understand. Which child?
And what does the woman with the key have to do with this?
Come here, quick.
Oh, my dear God.
Look, keys.
We started talking about the mysterious woman, and suddenly the keys fell from nowhere.
There's a spirit of a little boy of about 5. He threw the keys. Have you buried a child?
What's wrong with his face?
It's horrible. The boy's face is terribly disfigured.
Anna, what is it? What's happening?
The medium is behaving strangely, not responding to questions. She goes out of the house.
She looked like a spirit possessed her.
Anna.
I must kill him.
This is terrifying. The clairvoyant is finally intercepted and forcibly taken back inside.
I didn't understand what was happening to me. My body was taken over by the woman with the key. For some reason, she wanted to kill Vova.
Quiet. Hurry, pour it out at the threshold. Why does that woman with the key want Vova? Who is she, after all? And who is the child who threw the house keys on the floor?
Finally, Anna regains consciousness.
Did you see that woman with the keys too? She said she hated you all. She was the first owner of this house.
My grandmother inherited the house. Later, she bequeathed it to my mother.
No, that woman built this house.
She wasn't related to us.
It turned out that Nadia's great-grandmother passed away young. Her great-grandfather became a widower with 3 children, and then he remarried a woman with an unusual name, Teodolfia. She built this house, and it has been passed down from generation to generation.
That woman seeks revenge. She says you are murderers. The life of a child is on your conscience.
I feel a chill down my spine.
I feel the heat.
I'm feeling hot, but at the same time cold.
This is shocking. Are these people murderers? But who did they kill, and why? Could this be the reason for little Vova's suffering?
You killed her son. The son of the woman with the keys who built this house.
What about the boy with the burned face?
My great-grandmother said her son got burned and died.
It turned out that Teodolfia had a son. One day, she went to her neighbor's house, leaving the boy with her 12-year-old stepdaughter, Nadia's great-grandmother. When she returned home, she found her little boy dead in a pot of boiling lard. How he got there remains a mystery to this day.
Without photos of those people, I can't say what really happened. Whether the boy fell into the pot himself or was pushed by his stepsister. Either way, his mother accused the girl Nadia's great-grandmother, of murder.
The spirit of the woman has been seeking revenge for her son all this time. She specifically wants to kill a boy. And Vova is the first boy born after that tragedy in this family. We must leave this place. Your son started getting sick at the same age that the owner of the house's son died. Around 5 years old.
Yes.
But why does Vova have problems with his legs?
Because she screamed, "May none of you be able to walk on the ground with your legs."
So it was a curse?
Yes. We need to lift the ancestral curse from you. And then we'll try to do something about the house.
But you should continue his treatment. We can't restore the boy's health, but after the ritual, the treatment should improve your son's condition.
I would be so grateful.
The magical ritual lasted for about an hour. The clairvoyants banished the evil spirit of the former owner of the house, lifted the curse, and placed a protective spell on the boy.
Anna and I put protection on all the boys in Nadia's family, and we tried to stop Vova's illness. However, we couldn't heal him completely, unfortunately.
Dear clairvoyants, we are genuinely grateful. We bow to you.
Thank you.
You are a very good boy. We wish you good health.
Thank you.
The psychics did everything they could to stop the curse. After the next examination, the doctors gave the boy hope of walking. A cursed wedding. What mystical force dragged the young fiancé into the other world? And who summoned the entity? Don't miss out. The clairvoyants will reveal the secret of a deadly love triangle. On March 8, 2019, this young man arrived at his girlfriend's house with a bouquet of 101 roses. In the presence of her mother, he got down on one knee and proposed to her.
She agreed. She said yes.
However, the wedding never took place. The day after the proposal, Tetiana, his fiancée, ended up in the intensive care unit and soon died.
It's so difficult without her.
The grief-stricken parents believe an otherworldly force took their daughter to the beyond, because nobody dies that suddenly, being only 21. The mother asks the psychics to come and unravel this mystery.
Who? Why? And how? My husband and I can't find the answers alone.
According to the mother, on March 9th, her daughter was cheerful and happy. She and her fiancé were discussing their upcoming wedding at home when, all of a sudden, she pointed in front of her as if she saw someone invisible.
She looked at me like that. "Look, look," she said, pointing her finger, and then she fainted.
After that, terrible seizures began.
The ambulance rushed her to the intensive care. They first diagnosed meningitis, and then said it was meningoencephalitis. Some doctors said the former, and the others the latter.
Tetiana's condition worsened every day. The doctors couldn't provide any prognosis. They claimed it was an anomaly they couldn't explain.
Professors and specialists from Kiev arrived, and they even consulted foreign medics. But nobody could find the cause.
Desperate to save her daughter, the mother even invited priests to the hospital.
We brought in 5 priests. They said the doctors could do nothing, as the reason she was there was not medical.
Until the very end, Tetiana's parents and fiancé believed that their beloved girl would wake up.
We hoped she'd open her eyes and everything would be fine.
But the miracle didn't happen. Tetiana never emerged from her coma. 2 weeks later, on April 3rd, her heart stopped beating. She was 21.
She died in our arms. We never left her side. Her heart simply stopped.
The mother dressed her daughter in a wedding gown, but not for the wedding, but for the funeral. And her fiancé kissed her, but she was lying in the coffin, lifeless. But what's most horrifying is that just 4 years before that, Tetiana's mother buried her elder son, Serhiy. He had a wife and a little daughter left.
His blood pressure increased rapidly. He collapsed next to his car, and then seizures started. Then he slipped into a coma, and that was it.
He suffered a stroke at only 26 years old, and like his sister, he experienced strong seizures and slipped into a coma before passing away. The woman lost her both children, barely in their 20s, and she describes it as living through true hell. Now, she can only talk to them at the cemetery.
My precious son, my dear children, now you are both gone. Our darling children, both are gone.
The mother suspects that her son took her daughter away, claiming that before the tragedy, on the night of March 8th, Tetiana saw her deceased brother in a dream. She woke up in tears.
I asked her, "What's the matter?" And she said, "Mom, I had a dream of Serhiy. He said he wanted 30 white roses." I said, "Well, he would be 30 on May 3rd. Maybe that's why he asked for the 30 white roses."
But in her dream, Tetiana told her brother, "On the third day, there will be 21 roses of different colors." At that time, no one could guess what it meant.
And she passed away on April 3rd, exactly a month before his birthday.
On Tetiana's grave, Mikhailo put a bouquet of 21 roses of different colors that represented her age. The mother doesn't understand why Serhiy would take away his sister or why such tragedy befell their family.
I would appreciate it if the psychics came and helped us understand the reason.
2 psychics from our project, Olena Kurilova and Rubina Tsibulska, agreed to help.
Last night, I tuned in to the photos of the deceased brother and sister. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and saw Tetiana's spirit in front of me. She said the wedding was cursed. I see 2 wax dolls of the bride and the groom. I see someone tear off the head of the groom's figure right before the wedding.
Like voodoo dolls, looks like a curse. Hello.
Hello?
God, hello. I've been looking forward to your arrival. My name is Tetiana. Please come with me.
You suspect that your son took your daughter away?
Yes.
Do you have his personal items left?
I do. I took these from the hospital. It's all I have left from him.
After Serhiy died, he didn't only visit his sister, but also you. You saw him.
I saw him at home. It sent shivers down my spine.
Tetiana says she spent 2 sleepless nights at the hospital by her son's side while he was in a coma, and on the 3rd night, she went home to rest for at least a few hours.
I was lying awake. Then I saw him come into the room. He walked around the room and then went out through the window. And then they called me and said he died.
Your son keeps coming back to this world because of his little daughter. He's worried about her. She's in danger, just like your son and daughter.
But why?
Serhiy didn't take his sister to the other world. He appeared in her dream to warn her about the danger. Your children are victims of the same force, and I sense that their deaths are connected to a woman. Your son is here. He's embracing you, Tetiana. He said, "Save my daughter," and then he vanished.
I just can't understand why or who could do such things.
Quiet.
I think I heard something.
The voice is young and clear.
My Tetiana?
She's over there. Come on. She's calling us in there.
This is Tetiana's room.
Tetiana, come to us. She's here.
My Tetiana? No one touched it. She stood in the middle of the room, but the curtain swayed and the candle flickered immediately.
She sang softly,
"Titiana, my baby."
You talked to me, but I couldn't respond. You said everything would be fine.
I told her, everything will be fine, Titiana.
Your daughter senses that her fiancé is nearby. She says, "Call Mikhailo."
Mikhailo arrived to find out from the psychics who killed his fiancée.
She says, "You made me happy." She's grateful to you for your care and love.
Be brave.
I can't live without you. I can't accept that you're no longer with us.
She says she loves the ring you gave her.
The ring with a little gem, just as she wanted.
Did you put it in her coffin?
Yes.
She says give it to him. What does she mean?
It's probably for Mikhailo.
This?
Thanks.
She says, I didn't have time to give it to you.
It turns out that before her death, Tetiana prepared a gift for Mikhailo, which only her mother knew about.
She says, find the strands to live. Find the strands. And be happy. For her.
I will. I'll do it for her.
Tetiana's spirit showed me a young woman kneeling and saying something about a child. And I also heard her say, don't take him away.
At that moment, I heard the voice of Tetiana's daughter. She said, look for the woman who didn't want the wedding. Tetiana, I see you're not feeling well. Let's go outside for some fresh air.
What's that?
Your daughter's spirit wants me to look in the mirror.
She probably wants to add something.
I see a groom and a bride in the mirror. 2 wax dolls. The male figure seems to be missing its head. I saw this image earlier today. What is it?
My son was married. There was a large wedding cake, and we bought those figurines. They were made of wax, the bride and the groom. We put them on the cake, but the groom's head broke off.
The woman says that her daughter-in-law's mother was responsible for decorating the cake, and she still doesn't understand what happened to the groom's figurine.
I mentioned to Rubina this morning that this resembles voodoo magic.
Look for the woman who didn't want the wedding. Could the spirit mean your daughter-in-law's mother?
Once, we were entertaining them at home. I was running around carrying plates, and she probably didn't expect me to come in. My daughter-in-law, Maria, was there, and her mother said, don't worry, darling. All of this will be yours, the house and everything in it.
So she told her daughter all your property would be hers, right?
Yes.
That's a twist. Well, if she killed your entire family, then indeed, all your property would be hers. Could it be a curse on your family then?
She told me, "Your Tetiana won't live past 20." And I said, "Why are you saying such things to me?"
This is awful. Serhiy's spirit warned us that his daughter was in danger. Perhaps it's because she lives with that woman. Where does she live?
It's not far from here. I'm afraid.
We'll talk to her first.
Only Oksana, the mother of Tetiana's daughter-in-law, and her granddaughter live in the house. After her husband's death, the girl's mother went to work abroad.
Hello.
Hello.
Tetiana asked us for help.
Where is she?
She's here.
Could I see her then?
Tetiana.
Why did you tell Tetiana her daughter would soon die and all her property would be your daughter's?
That's what you said at my home.
My God, what are you talking about?
I heard you say to your son-in-law, you should be grateful you're still alive.
And I said that?
You did.
I want to know why my son went to you as a healthy man, but then died out of a sudden.
What are you talking about?
Oksana, how about the wedding cake? With the groom's figurine, what happened to its head? Did you do something using magic?
No.
But I see that you did practice magic.
I've never done anything bad to anyone in my life.
You told me my Tetiana wouldn't live past 20.
How did you know that?
It was just intuition.
Give me your hand.
Sure.
Excuse me, but what you call intuition is commonly known as the black tongue. It's when you blurt something out without thinking, and it comes true.
Well, yes, I won't deny.
That woman didn't do anything bad to Tetiana's family, but she needs to be very careful about what she says. Despite your words, you loved Serhiy as your own son.
We loved him so much. Our souls were dedicated to him.
And you're very sorry such a tragedy occurred to his sister. But you can't come to terms with Tetiana.
It's impossible.
It's hard for her. She's devastated. Her children are gone. She has only her granddaughter left, but the girl lives in your house.
This girl has left 2 grandmothers and a mother. You need to find reconciliation.
Let go of old grudges. You should support Tetiana in her grief, and she needs to see the girl.
Sure, no problem.
Tetiana is happy. She can now embrace her granddaughter, Alina, again. Seeing her grandmother from the yard, the little girl runs up to her.
I love you so much, and I never forget you. The ring.
It's my ring. It simply slipped off my finger. This ring wasn't too big, and it never slipped off my finger before.
I lost my wedding ring this morning. Now your ring has fallen off.
Tetiana is here.
For some reason, her spirit keeps pointing us to rings.
I don't understand why the ring.
Your daughter is pointing at this ring.
It's my wedding ring.
The answer is in it. Someone didn't want your wedding. But who?
My husband's first wife.
Did she ask you to return him?
Yes, she did, but I didn't want him. I even told her to keep him. I didn't want him, and I didn't steal him from her.
Tetiana met her current husband sometime after her first marriage ended. Her son was 3 years old. Vasil gave her a lift in his car, and he fell head over heels in love at first sight. Back then, he was already married, but he said he was planning to divorce because his wife constantly caused him scandals.
He didn't have a normal life with her, but once he filed for a divorce, she suddenly told him she was pregnant.
Tetiana is sure that the woman simply tried to keep her husband, and it worked, because he didn't leave his wife due to her pregnancy. However, Vasil still loved Tetiana and dreamed of being with her, even though she didn't want to hear about it.
He would come to visit me, but I would scold him. You have a wife, a family.
But the man left his family a year after his son was born anyway.
He said, I won't live, but I won't give up on you. We got married the next year, on January 12th.
Vasil raised Tetiana's son as his own. 3 years later, they had a daughter, but both their children eventually died.
Both deaths are related to weddings. The son died shortly after getting married, and the daughter died after the engagement. Could this be the revenge of the abandoned woman because Vasil married someone else?
She came here. She knelt before the icons. I said, Oksana, I'm not running after him. If you love him, take him.
Was she pregnant when she knelt?
Yes, but it wasn't obvious yet.
A pregnant woman who is willing to humble herself to win back her husband is capable of many things.
The name of the first wife of Tetiana's husband, just like that of the mother of her daughter-in-law, is also Oksana. When the clairvoyants arrived at her home, it was already dark.
No one's home.
Later, through other people, Tetiana found out that the woman had gone abroad a few days ago.
Let's go outside.
Tetiana found Oksana's photo on social media. We won't show it due to ethical considerations.
Let me have a look. Here you are. Was there any magic from Oksana? Were there any magical actions directed at Tetiana or her children? There was no magic.
I can hear her shout. She's saying terrible things to you.
Yes, it happened. May you be cursed, and may your children die. She said a lot of things like that.
She shouted, if you marry, your life won't be worth living.
Yes, she did.
I sensed that this outcry of pain from the offended woman turned into a curse, and it was what caused the deaths of your children. Due to the unique energy of the pregnant woman, her curse holds immense power. The curse affected all the weddings in your family. That's why your son's marriage and your daughter's engagement became fatal for them.
It was a cry from the soul, an emotional outburst of tears and pain.
She didn't really wish for everything to turn out this way.
But once the words were pronounced, the mechanism was set in motion.
We need to neutralize the curse so it doesn't threaten your granddaughter. We need to perform a ritual. For that, I'll need water from a natural source.
Please give me your wedding ring. Since Tetiana's wedding triggered the curse, we needed to neutralize it through the ring.
It's going to be your family talisman. Take it, Tetiana. Eventually, you'll pass this ring on to your granddaughter. This girl is the continuation of your lineage. Give her all the love you didn't have time to give your children, and your home will be filled with laughter and joy again.
It's such a relief. Life seemed meaningless before, but now there's hope. Thank you so much. At least I'll be able to go on living now.
An incredibly tragic story. Who would have thought that the tears and curses of the pregnant woman could lead to such consequences? A mystical entity has unleashed a hunt for children. Can the psychics stop the supernatural killer? Don't miss out. One of the most emotional investigations of the project. We received a plea for help from the Basenko family, Vitali, Natalia, and their children. These people are convinced that something supernatural lives in their home.
It's so terrifying when you sit and suddenly feel a breath on the back of your neck.
Sometimes I feel someone walk behind me and put their hand like this, but it's gone before I turn around.
I lie down to sleep and feel something climbing onto the bed and laughing. I can't move my hands or feet. It keeps climbing and crushes me, like a woman grabbing my neck.
Natalia is a homemaker. It's never been a problem for her to care for the livestock and cook delicious meals, but lately she's been afraid to enter the kitchen.
I was cooking in the kitchen. A knife was lying on the edge of the table, then it suddenly fell and stuck into the board next to my foot.
Vitalio is a good provider and can turn his hand to anything. He repairs the machinery himself and often feels a presence while working outside.
I saw a reflection of some kind of silhouette in the glass of my welding helmet. The silhouette was dark and blurry.
After seeing this silhouette again, the man narrowly escaped an accident.
A concrete slab fell. I don't know how many tons it was, and I was standing right there, a couple of meters away.
The parents fear that not only they, but also their children can fall prey to the unknown entity at any moment. The family has decided to immediately seek help from the psychics.
They're our last hope, because I don't know where else to turn.
Yana Pasinkova and Yaroslava Fedorova answer the family's plea and take on the case.
I had a dream of a little girl. She was about 4 years old. First, she stood with her back to me, but then she turned around, and instead of a face, she had a human skull.
The cause lies in a woman who's gone.
A dead woman.
She's gone. The woman hides a secret locked away.
But I see a man. He holds a knife. He holds the knife, aiming at the woman. I hear a voice saying, "Stop! Please, stop here!"
We're still 2 kilometers from the Basenkos' house, but the van stops.
All right, I need to go there. I can't go any further. There's a snowdrift. Wait. He says, "Help me, help me." How can I help him?
Later, we discovered that there is a cemetery in the direction Yaroslava was pointing. Thousands of people are buried there, so we don't know whose spirit appeared to her or why he is calling her.
He says, "The answer is in the water." What water?
Meanwhile, our crew has set up sensitive equipment in the Basenkos' home, and what they captured defies any logical explanation. Something semi-transparent and dark, resembling the silhouette described by the father of the family, moves around the room.
The silhouette is dark and blurry.
Nobody in the crew has ever seen anything like that.
Do you see it? Here. You see it pass?
It looks like an ordinary shadow. Somebody passed, and their shadow fell there.
If there'd been someone there, they would have passed in front of the camera. The camera is right by the wall.
It really looks like something alive.
Or dead.
This is what the psychics are to figure out. They arrive at the house.
Hello.
Hello? Can we go there?
Of course.
I've seen a woman. She's gone, but she thinks the house is hers. She won't let you live here. You've almost lost your children twice. Surgery, intervention, knives.
Our son was at death's door. They saved him in Kiev at the endocrinology clinic.
He was one step close to death, just like when he was born. And then, when he was a year and 4 months old, he had severe dehydration.
The family's problems started a long time ago. But are those incidents related to what's going on in the house now?
Yana, over here. I see what you told me about.
Look, a woman. She owns the property.
Yes, a woman used to live here, but she died.
Vitaly bought this house a few years ago.
She didn't just die.
She was murdered.
The locals say the woman died of a heart attack.
It's a murder. No one knows about it, though. There's a man involved in her death.
She had a husband, and he would mistreat her.
Vitaly's mother, who lives next door, knew the late woman well.
She was a kind woman, but her husband did such things that only made her cry.
The woman died suddenly about 8 years ago, and at the time, no one found it suspicious that her husband refused the autopsy.
He said, "You won't bring her back to life, so why cut her open?"
He beats her day and night, but she's silent, and everyone pretends it's okay.
They were a very secretive family.
The woman's spirit said her husband murdered her and didn't face punishment. Naturally, she's angry and causing destruction all around.
The husband died of stomach cancer a few years after his wife's death.
She demands justice. She's bound to this place, and she suffers because she wants the truth to be revealed. She's determined to bring attention to her cause by any means necessary.
She wants to leave this place. She shows the gate. The gate opened.
We needed to pacify the woman's spirit.
Let us perform a ritual.
The woman will no longer disturb you.
Yana. There he's standing. A dead man. He's tall and muscular, and his hair's dark.
That's my father.
It was the same spirit that called me when we drove past the cemetery. He says the answer is in the water.
He was found drowned.
Vitali's father, Petro Basenko, drowned in the local lake 6 years ago. But why do the psychics see his spirit? Could his death be linked to the entity trying to wipe out the entire family?
Go to the water. Where can we find water here?
It's far from here.
All the answers are in the water.
The psychics and the family hurry to the lake. However, they can't reach it, as the snow is knee-high. We call a tractor. The crew and the psychics wait for it for 3 hours. Finally, it arrives, but something incredible happens right before our eyes. It appears that an unseen force overturns the multi-ton vehicle.
My God. Look.
And the wheels above the ground.
Some kind of force wouldn't let us go there. This is not an ordinary lake.
Cars overturned here, and so did a combine and a tractor. Vehicles overturned on both sides of the pond.
The deaths are inexplicable. I see children. I see an older man and a younger man.
There are lots of them.
Many people drowned there.
Lots of them?
Yes, I alone found 2.
My cousin drowned. He was a sailor. He was trying to save a girl, but drowned himself. My godfather also drowned.
It turns out that many people have indeed drowned in this lake. At least 2 deaths occur here every year, and they are all quite mysterious. The locals fear for their lives and avoid the lake.
It feels like this isn't water but a cemetery, you see?
It's an ancient cemetery. People were buried shallowly here, and the water washed them away.
Do I understand it right that it's a flooded cemetery?
As we found later, there used to be a ravine with a cemetery here. But over several decades it was flooded by groundwater, which washed the bones out of their graves.
The water that washed over a dead person, as well as any water that was at the cemetery for some time, is what we call dead water. This entire lake, with its flooded graves, is dead water. And the locals swim in this dead water.
That's why people often die here. Vitali's father also died from this dead water.
Why did he call me here? He says all the answers are in the water. I thought maybe the spirit of the dead father was drawing his son's attention in this way. He forced Vitali to ask us for help because the lake where his body was found is a real threat to the whole village. We need to bless the lake, and the church should tell the people how to ask for forgiveness from the deceased whose rest they disturbed.
I see the woman again. There's the woman, and there's a hole in the ground. The hole almost took your child.
Our daughter fell into the well.
But it wasn't here.
Over that way.
Do you mean you have another house?
I did, yes.
It turned out that this Basenko family has only lived in their current house for the past 3 years. Before that, they lived on the other side of the village, where the tragedy occurred with their then little daughter, Oksana. When the girl was 5, she fell into an almost empty well.
She and our neighbor's boy were playing there. and they decided to check what's in the well, and she suddenly fell into it. She cried, "Mommy, pull me out." But the well there is very deep.
It was terrible. I tried to climb out, but I couldn't.
The father wasn't at home. Natalia couldn't pull the girl out on her own. The neighbors came running, hearing the woman's screams. Among them was Grandpa Petro, Natalia's father. It was he who threw a rope into the well, climbed down, and rescued his granddaughter.
She clung to him by the neck and wouldn't let go.
The man's spirit said that the answer was in the water. But there's water both in the lake and the well.
I need to see that house.
We set out to the house where the Basenkos used to live.
Could we talk to the owners?
Yes. Hello. Tanya, could you please come to see us?
The house is now abandoned. Vitalis sold it to his friends, but they couldn't stay within its walls for long.
I had this feeling that someone was following me. I clearly felt someone's gaze, but when I turned around, there was nobody there. And the footsteps in the attic, like someone was walking up there. The kids were restless and couldn't sleep.
Tanya and her family moved in with her parents. They were too terrified to stay in the house.
Good evening. Tanya, pleased to meet you.
Evil lives here. This is its abode.
Yes, it bangs and it knocks and chandeliers fall for no reason. Even at night, something dark and shadowy came to press down on me, and I saw a black shadow.
Could the same dark entity be present in both houses, driving out not only the Basenkos, but anyone who settles in these walls?
It seems that this force clung to this family in their old home and is haunting them wherever they go. There's something bad. The horrible creature from my dream. The little girl with the skull instead of her face. But now, instead of the eyes, she had shards of a mirror. Stop.
A window at the back of the house shattered. Nobody understands how it happened.
Such things happen all the time.
I'm going inside.
When I ask what's in common between the old and new residents of the house, do you know what the cards say? They are united by dead children. You paid with your child.
My child, my daughter, was hit by a car. Her name was Yulia.
It turned out that soon after moving into this house, a terrible tragedy befell Tanya's family. Their 4-year-old daughter, Yulia, was killed by a car right outside the gate.
I was at home making dinner. She said, "Mom, I'm going to Grandma Olya's," and then I heard a crash, and that was it.
The girl died on the spot. The driver, of course, defended himself as best he could, but his testimony was far too strange. The man claimed that a woman pushed the girl under the wheels. Oh, his car. But at the same time, he couldn't describe the woman.
People point fingers at her, saying she did it.
People told me that all the time. They said I pushed her on purpose to get rid of her.
It's quite possible that the driver wasn't lying. He really did see a woman, but she was dead. A spirit pushed the child. That's what the cards show me.
At that very moment, in the house where Yaroslava Fedorova was working, a mirror shattered into pieces right in front of the camera crew.
A dead woman with an axe. She dances with the devil, like she's possessed.
She would indeed laugh for no reason.
It turns out the Basenko family bought this house after the strange woman who lived here passed away.
This house is haunted by the spirit of that insane woman, and it's possible that she could attack anyone who settles here. But to stop her, we need to understand the reason for her anger. And the main question is, what do the children have to do with this?
The woman killed a man.
She strikes him on the head with the axe.
This sounds incredible, but it's a fact. The neighbors confirm it.
She killed her husband and hid his body not far from the house. People found the bones.
The motive of the murder remains unknown to date.
She doesn't understand what she's doing. Her eyes are glassy. She had some kind of grief, like yours, a small child.
The woman lost her child here.
No one knows what happened to the toddler. The neighbors only know the girl suddenly disappeared. Could the insane mother have killed her own daughter?
I need to read the cards. I need to sit somewhere here. The key to the mystery lies in the death of the first child. Whoever killed that child is killing all the others. Did the woman do it? No. She buried her here. Guys, we have a body.
Yes.
We found it by accident during the renovation.
Vitali found a child's body buried on site while he was digging a trench on the property.
Indeed, a skull and a skeleton. We called the police and forensic experts. They took the bones for examination.
Everything pointed to the crazy owner of the house, but she didn't kill her child. The girl was taken not by someone, but by something. And only after that, her mother went insane.
She's also a victim. Some demonic force killed her daughter. Just like it killed Tanya's daughter, and it tried to kill Natalia's daughter in the well. This place takes children. If it hadn't been for your father, the girl wouldn't be here.
The grandfather said the answer was in the water. I looked at the well and saw the girl again, her face a skull, her eyes shards of a mirror.
The ill fortune comes from the well.
I approached the girl and looked into her eyes, and in the shards, I saw a reflection of a woman with incredibly long black hair. She was looking into the mirror and whispering something. She has long, dark hair and large, bright lips.
Gypsies used to live here.
The elderly villagers remember a gypsy family living in this house over 70 years ago.
The woman has abilities, and she gives hope to mothers about their children.
The gypsy woman who lived in that house could remove curses. She could save children from the other world. When children were seriously ill, they were brought to her.
She says, I take their misfortunes into my hands. All these misfortunes are here, in this water.
Get me a little water. There's something at the bottom. Something the woman placed there.
The gypsy woman practiced magic, sealing all the negativity, curses, evil eye, and children's illnesses into an object. Then she threw it into the well, but I don't know what kind of object it was.
Rubina. She's very knowledgeable. She's a gypsy herself. Let's ask her.
The clairvoyants call their colleague, Rubina Cybulska, over Skype for advice.
What's used in gypsy magic?
Sand, cards, and a mirror.
I'm having goosebumps all over my body.
But it can also be used to remove curses, illnesses, and even deaths. You seal them in a mirror.
I feel her dump something.
A gypsy woman who practices magic would never throw away her working mirror, because if it breaks, it releases a terrible force that can kill.
So, the gypsy woman removed illnesses from children, lifted curses, and sealed them all in her mirror. All this negative energy accumulated in incredible amounts, turning the mirror into an entity.
When the gypsy left, she, for some unknown reason, threw the mirror into the well, and it broke.
And then I realized who the girl with mirror shards for her eyes was. The deadly entity made of hundreds of children's illnesses and deaths took on the form of a child.
Years later, someone opened the well. The woman who moved in after the gypsies. She released the entity and fell its victim. The well must be sealed.
For that, we need a small clay pot and milk, and a handful of coins.
Thank you.
We shouldn't simply thank these people, but carry them in our arms.